Marco Lorenzi, welcome to the OTTRED Spotlight podcast. Marco, for those that don't know, you're the marketing manager at SimpleStream, which is an organization that I've been watching with enthusiasm over the course of the last couple of years. I'm watching some of the exciting things that you're doing, seeing some of the talent that you're bringing into the business, especially in your department, Marco, where the identity of the brand in the marketplace, in my opinion, has got significant gravity. It's a pleasure to welcome you to the podcast, Marco. Thanks for being a guest.
No, thank you, Chris. It's my pleasure to be here. First of all, thank you for having me. And yeah, that's all right. The presentation you gave, the introduction you gave is absolutely spotless. I've been at SimpleStream for just nearly 2 years now, so time really flies. It's been a big journey. We can dissect that like as you please, obviously, in this nice conversation we're going to have. But definitely being in charge of marketing basically, and having to build like the entire department basically from scratch, so with the possibility to choose the right resources to bring in, has been so far one of the most exciting journeys I've been through.
Well, I take my hat off to you as someone that's passionate about social media and marketing, and I'm sure you probably know this. I'm somebody that follows all of the stuff that you and Ed and the rest of the team publish, and I have to say it's top quality, everything that comes back. So I've said that to you anyway. I'm not saying anything that I haven't already said to you. But look,
thank you.
What this podcast is all about, sharing the career journeys of other people in the OTT sector, so that maybe somebody else who's maybe at a more junior stage in their life and their career might listen to your story, Marco, and be inspired or pick up a few hints and tips on what they should do to, you know, follow the similar direction to what you've crafted in your career. Give us a potted history of the things that you've done. And, you know, you were born and now here we are having this conversation. What happened in between?
Yes, Chris, that's a really good point. Actually, my life has gone through like different phases of change, as it's normal probably for every single human being. When I was little, I wanted to be a doctor. That was my first thought, or at least like the first memory I have about my professional aspirations. And then that like moved a little bit along. Like I decided that like being a doctor probably would have taken me out of home like during weekends. I like football, I like sports, so I was really passionate about like the element of telling stories about sports. So I randomly changed my career aspiration. I was about 10. I wanted to become a journalist all of a sudden, and that's really like where my career trajectory started. And long story short, I started writing for as a correspondent, like for my local football club in Italy. I'm Italian. I come from Italy originally. I'm proud to be as well. At the same time, I started uni, obviously, and I chose a business degree with a curriculum in sport for my bachelor's. I then proceeded into a master's degree in sports marketing and sports management per se in Florence in Italy. And once graduated, I got my first couple of gigs, my first couple of jobs in Italy. I had a dream. I wanted to work in football, no matter where. Like obviously my background and my interest has always been in marketing, but in order to make my dream come true, I decided at some point 10 years ago to move to London, which is where I am based right now, where I'm speaking from. Basically because I wanted a job in football, and again, like it didn't matter where, like if it was marketing or comms or analysis, I got to know more about the world of data and the world of data analysis in the football field for betting and statistical modeling firms. So then I joined Football Radar, which is the first company I had, I was really proud to work for here in London. Great memories, 2.5 years watching games from all over the world at all times of the day. It was a little bit draining, I have to say, at some point, giving up all my time, weekends, or working overnight. Sometimes I was following the Japanese league, the second division, not even the top flight. So I got to explore like very niche stories around the game. All of that, like while watching games, I was obviously translating data and numbers into a software that was generating algorithms and therefore odds for the betting market. At some point, I wanted to combine like these elements of data analysis and technology, which was kind of growing in me. And I wanted to go back to my original love, like my first love, which is marketing anyway. So I made a career move to a startup first. Unfortunately, the project, which was really ambitious, like revolutionized the fantasy sports element in the UK and in Europe, the project never really happened. So we built like a big alpha version, like it never went to beta testing. Unfortunately, it was a very small team, 3 people. I got to learn a lot from the CEO, the other co-founders. There was a CTO with large experience, like in software development in fintech before. But that was basically the springboard that took me to OTTRED, which is the company I worked for 5 years. And let me spend a couple of words on your previous guest on this second season of your podcast, Carlo De Marchis, who was your guest in the opening episode for season 2, has been one of my mentors, like one of the people I look at with great respect and great admiration as well. And I cannot deny, I try to draw some inspiration from what he has been doing at OTTRED for many years. OTTRED has been my real baptism, if you like, with the OTT world, with like sports and technology combined together. I started there as with a social media role. I was curating the digital strategy for a couple of clients that OTTRED had at the time. And then, you know, it's always a matter of right place, right time, right people as well. I got to be introduced to the corporate marketing team back in the day, based in Turin. And in a couple of years, my role grew considerably, like into a marketing management role per se, after the acquisition of Massive Interactive. And, you know, after 4 amazing years at OTTRED, based in London, it was time for me to make a change and try something even more stimulating. So smaller outfit, simple stream, perfect family vibe, and obviously a lot of room for improvement and to grow within the company as a professional, but also like to grow the business by building really from the foundation a marketing department.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. What a career journey so far. And you've still got so far to go, Marco. It did make me smile inside when you just said, for those of you that don't know, I'm Italian and proud to be. With a name like Marco Lorenzi, it's I mean,
unmistakable.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Look, I'm going to invite you in a second to tell us a bit about SimpleStream, because as I said, I've followed you for a long time. I'm familiar, at least from a distance, with what the business represents and the momentum of the journey that Adam has obviously led in terms of being the spearhead and driving the business forwards. But first of all, before we go into that and all of the business sort of stuff, I always like to appreciate a little bit more about the complexion of the personal lives of my guests. You know, this is about you as well as who you are professionally. So, you know, tell us about you. What's the, you know, you're obviously Italian, you're in the UK. What's going on behind the scenes? Kids?
Well, no kids. I have a partner. I've been in a relationship like for quite a while now. My life in London has been great. It's been like 10 years, which I always say that London life is probably something different from life anywhere else. That's at least how I explain it to my friends when I go back home. And I feel like I grew as a man, as a person, as well as in the professional sphere, much quicker than I had done before. The fast-paced world I live in here in London is kind of pushing me to run literally every day. So it's a race really, but it's been extremely rewarding for me. Like under any aspect, like from any angle you'd like to see this. I'm a very curious person. Like it's that's me, but I'm also quite selective with things I want to be interested in, if that makes sense. So obviously there is the sports element. I have a passion for reading and for music. Like for a while I was toying with the idea of a career in music at the beginning of my career trajectory, because I've been writing for a number of publications in music as well. At some point, little anecdote, here in London, I like the fact that this city is available to any music act you want to see. Like no matter who, no matter where from, they're going to tour London at some point if they want to venture Europe. So at some point I was spending so much of my money into concert gigs and festivals tickets that I had to find a way to reduce that expense. So I just put together a blog with a couple of friends, and for a year and a half, like we were writing. It was almost like a second full-time job, and we were writing in contact with all PR agencies in the spectrum of the music industry. I made great contacts, and I was going for gigs for free, I'm also like a very meticulous person. I keep a spreadsheet for pretty much everything I do. So from live games watched at the stadium to concerts attended on venue. And I think like in 1 year, in 12 months, I attended about 95 of those, which makes it to basically like on average 2 concerts per week, which is a lot. So yeah, that's me. But I do enjoy like cultural elements, like 360 degrees. I'm very passionate about whatever's next, so I'm always looking for the next trend. I normally arrive like a couple of days later, like meaning that if something hasn't been like breaking news, it might not be under my radar. But once I'm really focused and interested in something, I assure you, like my degree of research and analysis is remarkable. So
I can tell that you pride yourself on that as well, Marco. It's that is unbelievable. 90 concerts in 1 year. That is definitely a second full-time job.
It was 100%, and obviously I had to give up at some point because my actual paid job was obviously more important. So
but look, let's talk a bit about Simple Stream, because I love this business. It's kind of one of my personal favorites, and I think that's the reason why you and I have established this kind of heartbeat to our relationship and dialogue over probably the last year and a half, maybe 2 years even. What are the headlines associated to Simple Stream? What's the identity that you've crafted for the business?
Very good question. The identity, first of all, let me start from a very, very important premise. Like I was tasked with reshaping the identity of Simple Stream as a first mandate. And I think like I was one of the luckiest person in the world, like at that moment, because there's nothing like joining a new company, who's trying to redesign, reposition itself in a very complex and fiercely competitive market, and having this mandate of trying to identify what the values are associated to the brand, and also like to reshape the brand the way the company wanted to be perceived. That was the first task I had as soon as I joined, basically. And Simple Stream is a great company to work for. First of all, there is a very tight leadership team which is always available, and that's the second most important thing in my opinion. So my dialogue, my continuous exchange of ideas, and sometimes also like quite heated like debates about what direction to take, like in general, that's being the salt added to the entire meal, really. So when I joined Simple Stream, there was a lot in the pan, but it was not clear what the company was excelling in, and that's the big piece of work we've been carrying on like for at least 12 months since I joined. So earlier last year in 2022, we launched a new website, but that was only the surface to a lot of work done in the background, and we fully rebranded. There is a fully revamped visual identity for the company. That's not only a logo, but that's everything that's associated to it. So our headline is we simplify complexity. We provide our customers with a simplified, easy to use, code agnostic version of a very complex OTT architecture. We are a SaaS company. We are a B2B SaaS company. So our solution is out of the box. I'm going to steal one of Carlo's big headlines. We work with, there is freedom within a framework for our customers to customize, to personalize their offering to their own clients. Because let's not forget that we are B2B, we work in a B2B environment, but always with the end consumer in mind. So it's a B2B to C piece of work that we do on a daily basis. The market is moving very fast, like we said that, like at the beginning of this conversation. There are increasing challenges coming from the need of a speed in going to market for organizations, like for content owners and broadcasters, who also want to be able to scale from 0 to hero in no time and with no issues associated to it. But at the same time, they also need always a new way to monetize, and whether this is subscription models, whether this is advertising, or any of the sort of return to live, between little commas, live streaming, live linear streaming. I mean, it doesn't matter. There always needs to be a way, like a gateway, really open to new monetization avenues. So in a nutshell, this is SimpleStream. This is what we do. We want to be perceived as a premium OTT provider, which we believe to be. And at the same time, we also want to be, yes, elegant, but approachable, therefore very easy to understand and almost like immediate to grab, like in terms of messaging and what we can offer in terms of USP.
Elegant and approachable. You know, it's funny, Marco, because I was going to respond before you even use that word by saying that my perception of the brand and the rebrand that you've done, having watched that come to life, is that it's elegant. You know, you must have been involved in many hours of meetings doing that whole rebrand. What was that process like for you and your team? There must have been so much consultation internally, and I don't know if you used external agencies to help, but how did that feel going through that process?
Yes, we worked with an agency. Obviously, there was like a brief moment, which was not brief by any means, but we did have basically a lot of preparatory meetings where we were brainstorming ideas. Where do we want to be? Who do we want to be? I also ran an internal survey where I asked my colleagues, think about SimpleStream now and think about a cocktail you would order at the bar if you had to identify SimpleStream right now. And there were some glasses of white wine. There was, I think, a couple of margaritas. And then there was a lot of vodka Red Bull, which is not my favorite drink. And I got the feeling that even internally, like the buy-in from the staff wasn't one of, you know, a great visual identity or something that can actually recall immediacy and elegance and reliability and all those adjectives I was using earlier on. So I also, at the end of this survey, I asked another question. I was like, if you had to think about a cocktail that you love, which one would you associate to SimpleStream? And I think Negroni was, like, probably because I'm Italian, was one of the most chosen at that point. And that's exactly the point I wanted to make. I wanted to give people a chance to think about SimpleStream and give people a chance to project SimpleStream into the near future and see what will come out of it. We presented our agency, the agency of choice. It's RCCO. It's an agency like I'm happy to mention. It's an agency working specifically like in B2B and SaaS projects based in London as well. We had several meetings with them. We worked with their lovely team. The project comprises of two phases. Basically, the first one was for the branding element only, which took about 4 months to nail down. I have to say, it wasn't easy. I say like immediate. Like there were a lot of moments of back and forth, like and continuous refinement. And once that was unlocked and ready to be unfolded, we went onto the website element. Website needed a full redesign, a full rethink. We wanted more information to be made available. I have a soft spot for content. Obviously, as a marketer, I believe in content, especially in B2B, as one of the greatest media to attract interest and to be literally the driver to more inbound requests, which is what we're here for, really. So I wanted the website to be content centric, like most of all. So there's a lot of information. There are several layers of information, from an overview on why to choose SimpleStream. We went on to our product propositions, and then the services, which are the most technically dense pages on the website. It worked really well. We launched later in April 2022. It was very hectic, I have to say. That month, I remember it as being very challenging for everyone. But it was a collaborative approach, and it was most of all team effort. Like I couldn't have done that on my own. There was the help of many people, many stakeholders in our organizations, the help of an agency working with us. But most importantly, we wanted to get the soul of SimpleStream out there, and I think we succeeded in doing that. And 12 months later, nearly 12 months later, I can see the marketing engine having restarted like properly. Obviously, together with the website, we also implemented a new CRM on our system. So the other colleague of mine who works in my team, and I'm lucky to have him, Owen, is the marketing operations specialist who curates literally every single element of link and connection between the website and our content machine with the commercial aspect of the company, which helps sales and commercial to close the deals.
Yeah. You know, I just before I move on to my next question, Marco, one of my observations about the content that you create, because I massively subscribe to the notion that you've just talked about in terms of generating inbound leads. But the prerequisite of being able to do that is ensuring that the content you're putting into the World Wide Web is credible and appealing and relevant. And I think the stuff that you guys produce not only looks elegant and accessible, but I you know, when I read your stuff, I really think it is good. I always make sure that I pay attention to it.
And if I may add, Chris, it's all about accessibility of resources within the company. It's all about transparency and accessibility of information in the end. We couldn't write content about the difference between client side and server side ad insertion without having a chat with our solution architecture or with our CPO, who feeds us with the bullet points, the headlines exactly that we are going to develop into a piece. And that piece then becomes very SEO prompt, SEO powerful, like, and makes a difference in our content plan, like going ahead. We do have a monthly session, which I love, is my favorite moment within the team. It's called Content Camp, and that's really like a big box that we want to fill with as many ideas as we can, as we have, no matter how visionary, no matter how impossible they might look at a first sight, but it's always like good to gather the opinion of different people in the organization and then build upon that foundational layer.
It's I love stuff like that. You know, collaboration means that you get so much more out of the collective, if you want to call it that. Do you feel as though with the momentum and traction you've got in terms of the growth of SimpleStream and how the brand is blossoming, I hear businesses talk about being worried about losing things like that, you know, the intimacy with the whole team. Does that ever cross your mind as you're growing and, you know, seeing the business become the next version of itself?
Certainly, it certainly does, and I have to say that moving from a big organization such as OTTRED to SimpleStream obviously changed completely the angle from which I was observing things before, basically. So at OTTRED, I was very lucky to be in a team of nearly 10 extremely talented people, all with different remits, and we were led by Jason Bradwell, who's another person I'm happy to mention because he's been a great source of inspiration, and he taught me a lot, like along the way. And I'm extremely happy and proud to have been working with him in the past. But obviously, being in a big team means more segmentation in terms of role responsibilities and remit per se. There are less possibilities to venture out and again, like collaborate, exchange, and produce something that's really a USP for what the content plan and the content strategy is for a company. Coming to SimpleStream, it was a clear change of scenery for me. For about 4 to 6 months, I've been a one-man band doing it on my own. And then when adding the new resources to the team, I was able to delegate. I was lucky because one person was already in the company, so knew the company pretty well. And then Edward, who joined us March last year, so nearly 1 year ago, immediately understood what the task was and what the right approach was. But it's definitely important to consider that this is not possible in big organizations where there are like teams of 10, 12, 15, 20 people. It's something that definitely scares me, like in terms of like, oh, do I feel like one day we're going to lose this sort of feel? Yes, I do. It's a possibility. It's also good to be here from day one and to be able to grow within that type of team. So I have the opportunity to actually craft the mentality and craft the sort of vision for the team itself, for the marketing department itself, in a way that might be sort of bulletproof for the future.
So Marco, look, this is the key question that I'm looking forward to talking to you about. You love sports. If we were to say that SimpleStream is a team within the Premier League, and you look at the competitive horizon of OTT and streaming providers, my question is this: what is this season going to be about? 2023 is a super interesting year in so many ways. Economic climate from a macro perspective, possibly a very busy competitive horizon, so that might drive M&A and convergence activity. What do you, with your marketing leadership hat on, when you look out across that landscape for 2023, what are the kind of things that you are predicting, and what are you thinking it's going to look like?
Well, competition is not going to end. It's getting, I'm saying worse. It's not a negative thing, obviously. It's getting more and more challenging. Maybe that's a better use of words. But that's simply because OTT has now to compete not with other OTTs, basically, but it has to compete with everything else that's going on. Businesses in the current economic sort of landscape are struggling, and there are many small outfits, especially in consumer goods, that are struggling. It's just like kind of normal, like in these sort of climates. OTT and the digital spectrum in general have an advantage. There is continuous innovation that needs to be pursued, and the use of data is certainly one of the elements that I'm seeing as becoming more and more integral to business success in 2023. Not only when we're talking about data to predict, so data in AI and data in machine learning to create algorithms and automate more and more of those workflows, but mostly user data, consumer data that's absolutely paramount for organizations to take into account. And I'm talking about broadcasters. I'm talking about content owners with traditional subscription-based business models. I'm talking about advertisers as well, like analytics in OTT, for instance, is an element that will take even more prominence, in my opinion, because of its application into the advertising world. It's all blended into a single big box, big pan. Again, like to use a culinary metaphor, but it's something that we cannot do without. So certainly data is my big prediction, which is not a prediction, is what I expect the market, it's the language I expect the market to speak to. In terms of experience, then, like fan experience, like an user experience is always paramount. Like here at SimpleStream, we do have a principle in mind. When we start a project, we start with a design. It's we call it a best-in-class design approach, because it's continuous improvement, really, and continuous refinement of what the user experience is. So you cannot have in OTT big screen applications that still require you to digit an email or a password to log in with like your remote control. It's not possible. Like it's not acceptable, if you like, these days. It's about like making the experience as smooth and as seamless as possible for the user, not to waste time, and to find the content they want to see, they want to watch very quickly, and sometimes also to find the content they don't know they want to watch. This is something that links back to AI and the use of recommendation engines like that. I wrote something recently about it as well, which is another topical element. I don't know, like statistically, what attention span we do have as human beings right now, so I don't have a reference for you, but I know that in my case, my attention span is very limited. And if I'm on an app and I forget in more than 30 seconds what I am on that app for, I'm just going to switch to something else. So I think like those two elements, data, fan experience, the two things are certainly correlated. The use of artificial intelligence and algorithms to power automated workflows. And I'm not only talking about the front end in this case, so the sort of use case for the end consumer, but I'm mostly talking about CDN balancing, video delivery, and potentially also the creation of automated advertising placement workflows within the video, both live and on demand. That aspect of the OTT architecture will certainly become more and more predominant.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because as this whole sector has kind of unfolded and matured at a rate of knots, especially in COVID, and then COVID kind of established OTT at the scale it's at now, to some extent at least. It's interesting because part of that evolution for me is companies actually becoming really profitable, and being able to manage the revenue per user rather than just the sentiment of a technology driving big listings where the company's not even making any money yet. And I think an offshoot of that is exactly what you've just said, Marco, in that, if you speak to the guys at Jump, Jesus and Geronimo Macanas, or even the guys over at Conviva, Mark Rawlins-Smith, and the guys over there, data is actually, I firmly believe this, the difference that's making the difference when it comes to monetizing everything that happens on an OTT platform, being able to make the balance sheet balance for once. So yeah, I passionately believe that. And you mentioned ad tech as well.
Yes, exactly.
That for me is a really interesting part of what.
And that is a huge, it's a big slice of the cake to be, if you like, because obviously I mentioned earlier the return to live linear stream as it could have been linear distribution of content about like 15, 20 years ago. That is, in my opinion, one of the most fertile areas broadcasters, content owners, and video providers will have to focus to, because the ability of targeting specific users with specific ad placements is absolutely paramount. So what I'm seeing is different from what you are seeing. So there is this obviously abuse sometimes of the word fast, like this fast channel concept. Yes, there is fast, but there is the word virtual, like a virtual channel, which is what we are trying to push as a simple stream as well, which offers more opportunities, more bespoke opportunities for monetization, like for single users. It could be simply the placement of a layer of graphic elements on top of the screen while a live or an on-demand programming is going ahead. And it could be a QR code for teleshopping, let's say programming that want to sell the product they have in stock real time without having the user to pick up the phone and digits like the phone number to call the sort of the whatever office they have, like to close the sale at the end. So yeah, ad tech is going to be an absolute protagonist, like in 2023. I firmly believe that.
Is it one of the things you're most excited about, or is there something else that is kind of, even if it's in the distant future, is there something that particularly excites you about, you know, we work in the tech sector at the end of the day, Marco, you know, yes. It's a distinct sub vertical within the tech sector. Is there one thing that you're really looking at and going, that's going to be so cool when that happens?
Yeah, absolutely. I do have this idea that one day fast channels will be customized per individual. So I will have my own fast channel based on my way of watching content on big screens or small screens. I will have a 8 a.m. stream of half an hour breaking news, and then at 8:30, between 8:30 and 8:45, I will have an episode of The Simpsons, for instance, going on while I have breakfast. And then obviously considering working hours, like there wouldn't be much going on like in the 8 hours like I would be in the office, but from 6:30, 7 p.m. there will be content that unfolds based on my preferences. I do believe that one day, if it's not possible already, if it's not being tested already, but my dream is to be able to have TV within a concept that's been adopted by Spotify and other music streaming services in the past. Creating your own radio station is one thing, like to listen to, and then there should be the equivalent for television for sure.
I love it. Just listening to you, I was thinking that sounds pretty good. I'm looking forward to that as well now.
Yeah, it's we talk about decision fatigue. I can't decide what to watch. My attention span is very limited. So if I know that my channel is going to show all the stuff I like on a daily basis, that would be the dream.
Yeah, absolutely. Marco, we're coming towards the end of the podcast now. It's been a pleasure talking to you, but the question that I always like to end with everybody who's been on season 1 and now recording season 2, what advice would you give to the younger Marco if you had the chance to speak to him?
Wow, that's a very good question. I would say always doubt your assumptions, because first, assumptions might not be the right ones, first of all. And second, I would probably wish a younger Marco and any other younger professional in the industry, wish the best of luck to find the very good mentors that are out there, and try and grab as much as you can, try and draw as much inspiration as you can to learn really what working in marketing is, because it's a learning by doing process. I can guarantee that. And also like to grow in a space that's extremely challenging, but at the same time extremely rewarding.
Amazing. Marco, what I've learned about you in the course of the last 45 minutes is that you're an Italian in London with an amazing grasp of the English language as well, I have to say. I love
thank you.
I love that Italian turn of phrase. Carlo's got it as well. The way you guys speak English is just great. We share a mutual adoration for Mr. DeMarcus as well.
Yes.
You're deeply into music, deeply into sports, and a visionary. And one thing that I've also learned in the course of our conversation, I think, is that characteristic that you've tried to embed into Simple Stream of accessibility. I think you've got that as well. It doesn't surprise me that that has managed to become part of what you've baked into the DNA of the brand. So I congratulate you on that, buddy.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you On behalf of myself, of the team at OTTRED, and everybody listening to this, thanks for sharing your story in OTT with us, Marco.
Thank you for having me, Chris. See you soon.